Jaya Radha-Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha-Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, text number 7. Astaushid Dharim Ekagra Manasa Susumahita Prema Gadgadaya Vacha Tan Nyasta Hridayekshanaha Astaushi Dharame Kagra Manasa Susamahitaha Prema Gadgadaya Vacha Tanyasta Hridayekshanaha Astaushi Dharime Kagra Manasa Susamahitaha Prema Gadgadaya Vacha Tanyasta Hridayekshanaha Astaushi Dharime Kagra Manasa Susamahitaha Prema Gadgadaya Vacha Tanyasta Hridayekshanaha Anybody online?
Astaushidharim ekagra Vanasa susamahitaha Prema gad gadaya vacha Tanyashta hridayekshanaha.
Astaushit. He began to offer prayers. Harim, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ekagra manasa. The mind being completely fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Susamahitaha. Very attentive, without diversion to any other subject. Prema gadgadaya. Faltering because of faltering because of feeling transcendental bliss. Vacha, with a voice. Tat nyasta, being fully dedicated to him. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. Hridaya ikshanaha, with heart and sight. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prahlāda Mahārāja fixed his mind and sight upon Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with full attention in complete trance. With a fixed mind, he began to offer prayers and love with a faltering voice. Purport. The word susamahitaha means very attentive or fully fixed. The ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi, mystic perfection. As it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.13.1, dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. One attains yogic perfection when he is freed from all material diversions and his mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. This is called samadhi, or trance. Prahlāda Mahārāja attained that stage beyond the senses. Because he was engaged in service, he felt transcendentally situated, and naturally his mind and attention became saturated in transcendence. In that condition, he began to offer his prayers as follows. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Before I speak on this verse, I'll just speak a little bit. It's the appearance day of Radha-Ramana. It's the appearance day of Madhavendra Puri. It's the appearance day of Srinivasacharya. And it's Krishna Phuladola. Krishna Phuladola, I'll just say, is the boat festival. For those who are not aware of that, basically. In many temples, in India especially, they take the Utsav Vigraha of the Lord, the small deities, and they put them on a boat, and they do a little boat ride for them, for their pleasure, with kirtan and other things. On Krishna Phuladola. Yeah. And then there's the appearance day of Radha-Ramana ji. Radha-Ramana is the deity of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who was an associate, he was an associate of Mahaprabhu. He's eternally an associate of Mahaprabhu, but he resided in Vrindavan. He was the son of Venkata Bhatta, at whose home Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed when he visited Sri Rangam. And So anyway, I won't speak so much about Gopal Bhatta Goswami, but he is one of the 6 Goswamis, and he was told, I think in a dream it was, to go to Nepal. Do you remember the reason? I'm forgetting now. Anyway, he went to go to Nepal. Please forgive me, I'm forgetting the reason now. But in a dream, I think by Mahaprabhu himself, and he was getting water from the Gandaki River, where, if those who don't know, the Gandaki River is where Shalagram Shilas come from. So he put his little, water pot into the river, pulled it up, and there was, I think, 12 Shilas in there. Anyway, there were several Shalagram Shilas in there. And he thought, whoops, and he dumped them out back into the river, and then went to get more water, and then those same 12 Shilas ended up back in his water pot.
They jumped back in.
Yeah, they jumped back in. So he figured, okay, this must be a sign. And so he kept the Shilas, went back to Vrindavan, and was worshipping the Shilas there, when one rich man came, I believe his name was Seth, or Seth, something like that. Must not have been Seth, like that. But anyway, so he came to him, and he gave him very nice, expensive clothes and ornaments for deity of Krishna. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami accepted them, but he couldn't use them because all he had was Shalagram Shilas. You can't really put earrings on Shalagram Shila. Can't really put clothes on a Shalagram Shila because it's just a round stone. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was longing to have a form of Krishna that he could worship. So he put his Shilas to rest one night, and he was going to sleep himself. And he was thinking in his mind, he had this great desire that I really want to have a deity, and he prayed that Krishna could appear before him in the form of a deity. So then in the morning when he went to wake his Shilas, there were 11 Shilas instead of 12. And there was one deity of Krishna that manifested from his Damodar Shila. He had one Damodar Shila. And so that deity of Krishna is Radha-Ramana. It's a Swayambhu, or a self-manifested deity. And many devotees point out that it's the amount of detail that Radha-Ramana is, we'll say in air quotes, carved with, is so precise, so amazing. There's such a great level of detail that nobody could have really carved it on their own, especially not at that time. So it's also said that on his back, on his backside, there is still the marks of the Damodar Shila that he manifested from. So yes, Radha-Ramana, one thing a lot of devotees point out, his teeth, his very detailed teeth. There's one story about Radha-Ramana where a boy, one of the sons of the Pandas, he got a stick and he put it in Radha-Ramana's ear and pulled it out the other one. And when he pulled it out, there was blood on it, on the stick. And that boy, it's not a happy story, I'm sorry, but it's a well-known story about Radha-Ramana. But the boy died that day, actually, for his offense to Radha-Ramana. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his destiny was. I won't comment on what his destiny was. He was the son of Radha-Ramana's Panda, so he must have been a great soul. So, but anyway, that is something about Radha-Ramana. Madhavendra Puri is also, it's also his appearance day today. Madhavendra Puri's, there's a chapter in the Madhya Lila, I think chapter 4 of the Madhya Lila, is the description of Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master of Ishvara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Param Guru. And he appeared in the line of Madhvacharya, and he was the first in Madhvacharya's line to introduce this virahabhav, this feeling of separation, love and separation from Radha and Krishna, or the love that Srimati Radharani feels in separation from Krishna. He was the first to introduce those kinds of sentiments into the Madhva Sampradaya, which was, of course, very much founded and steeped in bhakti, but not exactly that kind of bhakti, that kind of intense, especially that longing in separation kind of bhakti. And so he, throughout his life, was chanting this verse, which is said that only he and Srimati Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand this verse. Ai dina dayardranatha he mathuranatha kadavi lokyase hridayam tvadaloka kataram daita brahmyati kim karomyaham. This verse is said to be spoken by Srimati Radharani when Krishna left to Mathura. And she is saying, Ai dina dayardranatha he. The first line is just calling out, like, oh, Dina Diyardra, oh, you who are affectionate to those who are fallen. Dravida Prabhu says that Diyardra means like one whose heart melts with compassion. So he's extremely compassionate to those who are Dina, those who are fallen. Mathura nata kadava lokyase. She's calling out, then you are the Natha of Mathura, the master of Mathura. Hridayam Tvadaloka Katram. Oh yeah, Kadava Loka say, when shall I see you again? Hridayam Tvadaloka Katram Daita Brahmyatikim Karomyaham. In separation from you, my heart is burning, and I'm just wandering around thinking, what shall I do? Kim Karomyaham. So this verse Madhavendra Puri was chanting, and again it said that only he, Srimati Radharani herself, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also in one sense also Srimati Radharani, could understand the purport of this verse. Those three are also the only three who ever experienced Mahabhav, or the real ecstasy that Srimati Radharani feels, especially. So yes, he introduced this into the Madhva Sampradaya. He is also especially known for establishing the worship of Gopal, or Srinathji, as many people know him. In Vrindavan, he was in Vrindavan doing Govardhan Parikrama when Gopal appeared to him in a dream and said, I'm buried here in this bush. Please come save me. I'm very, distressed because there was some attack. And so they had to bury this deity. And so he excavated the deity and he installed it on top of Govardhan Hill. And there's a whole pastime of this Annakut ceremony where so many people were bringing food and rice, and it just became this huge, big thing where they offered all kinds of preparations to bathe the deity in all kinds of different, they bathed him in Panchagavya, Panchamrita, all kinds of water, just like a very big festival for Gopalji. And then also when Gopalji then told Madhavendra Puri that although I've been bathed so much, the bodily temperature is still so high, I'm feeling very hot. So please go to... Yeah, it was another dream, yeah. He told him to go get chandan from the Himalayas. He didn't tell him to go to the Himalayas specifically, but he told him to get this specific chandan, and this chandan could be found in Puri. And camphor also, to make ganda. So... that's a whole narration in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Part of that is that Madhavendra Puri went to I guess at that time he wasn't known as Kirtor Gopinath, but he went to the Gopinath temple in Raimuna in Bengal, and he was at this Gopinath temple there. The priests offered this kheer, this sweet rice that was very tasty, it was very well known, apparently, very opulent. And so seeing this, seeing this, being offered to Gopinathji, Madhavendra Puri was thinking, it'd be nice to taste it so that I could make a similar preparation for Gopal. He was thinking like this in pure devotion to his, deity, his worshipable Lord. But he realized, or he thought to himself, I shouldn't think like this. Actually, this is very offensive, to think of tasting the that which is being offered to the deity. It's very offensive. So he rebuked himself and he just decided, okay, anyway, I'll leave. And he left, and he was sleeping in one empty marketplace. And that night, one of the priests had a dream where Gopinath came to him and said, listen, there's one devotee named Madhavendra Puri, and he's living in this abandoned marketplace. He wanted to try the kheer that was being offered to me, and but he felt himself very offensive, so he left. But anyway, I've kept a pot of kheer for him behind this curtain. So please take it and bring it to him. And so the priest then, right then and there, he woke up. Yeah, I was about to say that. And he bathed. He bathed and he went onto the altar and he found this pot of kheer that Gopinath had stolen. And then he went to the marketplace and he was shouting for Madhavendra Puri. He said, is there somebody named Madhavendra Puri here? Please come out, please reveal yourself, because Gopinath has stolen a pot of kheer for you. And so now that I'm actually remembering, this was on his way back from Puri after he had gotten that chandan. It's not.
No, he had another dream no, it wasn't on his way back.
I thought it was on his way back, because after that Gopinath asked him to. Oh no, it was on his way there. Then he went and then he came back. Yeah. So Madhavendra Puri then took the kheer to his great delight, of course, and then proceeded on to Puri. Yes. Please forgive me. He also broke the pot, and every day he would eat a little bit on his way to Puri until he ate the whole pot. Not just the pot of kheer, but the clay. And so then he arrived in Puri. He got his sandalwood and his chandan and his camphor, and then on his way back, it said he was carrying about 80 pounds actually of camphor, and not of camphor, but of camphor and sandalwood combined. So it was very heavy, and he was walking, all the way from Bengal to Orissa. So it was a big endeavor. So when he got back to Ramuna, to the temple of Gopinath, Gopinath said, told him that, listen, I'm none different from Gopal, so save yourself the trouble. Just every day offer me, just rub my body with sandalwood pulp and we'll call it even.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, it was another dream.
Yes, it was another dream, yes.
And he gave it to the pandit, he gave it to the worshippers there, and they were very ecstatic that, in the summertime, Gopinath here is going to have all this. So I don't know if he personally did it, but he did see it.
Yeah. So Dravida Prabhu was making the point that perhaps he didn't do it himself, but he gave it to the priests and they did it. So yes, that's mostly what is generally said about Madhavendra Puri. Of course, whole classes could be given, seminars could be given about all these personalities. But for the sake of time, I'll speak now about Srinivasa Acharya, who was he's said to be an incarnation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. He's said to be ecstasy, also his love, which is kind of the same thing. So he's an incarnation of Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. He was born in Bengal. He was the son of one, I think his name is Gangadhara. And this Gangadhara lived about 7 miles from Katwa. And he was a great devotee of Mahaprabhu, who at one point he decided that he wanted to go see Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. He wasn't just like leaving everything, wasn't going to leave his wife and kid, but he just wanted to go visit. So when he got to Katwa, he heard that the Lord was taking sannyas right in Katwa, right where he was. And so he went there, he saw the sannyas ceremony of Mahaprabhu. He was in such great ecstasy after seeing this that when Keshava Bharati gave Mahaprabhu the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya, then he just went into complete ecstasy and was chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya over and over and over again, and Chaitanya. And the entire journey back to his village where he was from, he was just chanting and chanting and chanting this name Chaitanya. And when he got there, similarly, he informed his wife about the Lord's sannyas, and he was just constantly absorbed in chanting Chaitanya, such that he was given the name Chaitanya Das. And so Chaitanya Das and his wife then moved to Puri, or at least went to Puri, and visited, I believe they moved to Puri and to stay with Mahaprabhu there in Puri. And one day they desired to have a son. They prayed to Lord Jagannath, and Mahaprabhu revealed that to some of the devotees that Chaitanya Das and his wife would like to have a son, and this son's name is going to be Srinivas, and he's going to be a great devotee. And then he said, through Rupa and Sanatan, I will delineate the process of devotional service, like codify it, and through Srinivas I'll distribute it. So Srinivas Acharya, he was in his youth, he was trained in Shastra, and he was educated by Dhananjaya Vidyavachaspati, and who was an associate of Mahaprabhu. And he was told to take shelter of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And I believe then Gopal Bhatta Goswami left. Gopal Bhatta Goswami left this world. And then he was told to take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit. Or perhaps, forgive me, I should have better brushed up on these details before I sat on the Asan. But then he was told to take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit. Srinivas Acharya was then learning the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit, who said, listen, my Bhagavatam, this is after the Lord left, Mahaprabhu left. And he said, listen, Gadadhar Pandit was just completely, you could say, distressed in separation from Mahaprabhu. And so he told, Gadadhar Pandit was actually told by Mahaprabhu himself to teach Srinivas Acharya the Bhagavatam. And so when Srinivas Acharya approached him, he was very happy. But there was one problem, that Gadadhar Pandit's copy of the Bhagavatam was illegible because he had cried so many tears of love that had just messed up the ink. And so he told Srinivas Acharya to go to Bengal and get another copy. So he did. He went to Bengal, and in that time, Gadadhar Pandit left. He got back and he realized that Gadadhar Pandit actually left. So those are some pastimes of Srinivas Acharya. One especially famous pastime is his going out with Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Pandit to distribute the literatures of the Goswamis at the behest of Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami became his guru after Gadadhar Pandit left. He studied with Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda the literatures of Jiva Goswami and the other Goswamis from Jiva Goswami. So they went out with a bullock cart with all these books of the Goswamis, and they went to distribute them around Bengal. At one point, they were stolen. There was one king who... Huh? What was his name again? Virambir Maharaj. Yeah, so he had this astrologer who said that there's these men passing through your kingdom with a great treasure. And so he decided then to send some dacoits out to go steal it. So one night, I should say, while Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, and Shyamananda were sleeping, these dacoits stole all the literatures of the Goswamis, took them. They had these trunks. And they woke up, and of course they were just completely devastated. And Srinivas Acharya sent Narottam Das Thakur to Navadvip. He said, you go to Navadvip, visit all the devotees there. And he sent, I forgot where he sent Shyamananda, I'm not remembering now. But anyway, Srinivas, he said, I'll go retrieve them. So he went to Virambir Maharaj's, city, village, town, one of those. And he he had gotten word that they were stolen by this king. So anyway, there was this whole pastime. He defeated his court pundit, and Virambir said, "Okay, what can I give you?" And he said, "I've heard anyway that you." Yes, please.
The way I heard it, that the king would hear Bhagavatam. He was
Prabhu, can you use the microphone?
the king was hearing classes in Bhagavatam from this court pundit.
Yes.
I didn't even know he didn't know what he was doing. So Srinivas went to the an intended one, and I guess he raised his hand with and he started expounding. The king asked him to expound on Bhagavatam, and everyone was transfixed because he was giving it. And so that's how he got into the court.
Yes, and so for some time Srinivasacharya was giving classes regularly to the king on Bhagavatam. And so anyway, and so the king then, no, I don't need water, I just accidentally bumped at you. So then yes, he retrieved these literatures from the king, and then went on to distribute them with those devotees, Narottam and Shyamananda. And the king became his disciple and the rest of his kingdom. He initiated the whole city. So yes, that's a little bit about Srinivasacharya. I'm sorry for rushing through those things. I wanted to speak a little bit about this verse, at least in Bhagavatam, because it's a very good one, and also because I chanted it. So yes, I'll speak now a little bit about the Bhagavatam. We're hearing now about Prahlāda Mahārāja and his... Srila Prabhupada dedicates this purport basically to talking about samadhi, because the verse talks about how Prahlāda Mahārāja, his mind and his sight were fixed upon Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with full attention in complete trance. And the word that is used is susamahitaha. Su meaning very, or like... Su generally can mean also like well. So he's very well, very nicely, sama, like engaged in this one thing, very fixed. And so Srila Prabhupada describes that the ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi, mystic perfection. And then he quotes this verse, dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashanti yam yoginaha. That one attains yogic perfection when he's freed, or sorry, this, actually, yeah, so anyway, the ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi. Prahlāda Mahārāja was certainly not a yogi in the sense of an Ashtanga yogi. Srila Prabhupada refers to this, to yoga siddhi as a siddhi of Bhakti yoga, or the perfection of Bhakti yoga, and he says in this, yeah, because he was in this verse. Yes, one attains yogic perfection when he is freed from all material diversions and his mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. So this mirrors a verse at the end of the 6th chapter in Bhagavad Gita. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatein antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukta tamo mataha. That the best of all yogis is one who worships me with faith and is always thinking of me within himself, firmly fixed in that way. So Srila Prabhupada mirrors that understanding here in this purport, that one attains yogic perfection when his mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. And actually this is mentioned in the Yoga Sutras too. It says, Samadhi siddhir ishvara pranidhanat. One of the niyamas, in yoga there's yamas and there's niyamas. One of the niyamas is ishvara pranidhana. And Ishvara Pranidhana means, it's translated in, it's amazing actually, if you search this term, it's amazing how many completely bogus translations of this word there is. It's really like, especially amongst like the kind of like more modern American yoga crowd, it's amazing how they stretch this word in all different kinds of ways. It's like really far out. So anyway, but Ishvara means God, means the Supreme Controller, and Pranidhanat means surrender or devotion unto Him. I thought it was Pranidhana. Yeah. Yeah, I looked for it, and because I also thought it might have been pranidhana or pranidhana, but anyway, I looked it up and it looked like the diacritics were pranidhana. So anyway, yeah. So the Yoga Sutras, I think it's anyway. Yoga Sutras says samadhi siddhir ishvara pranidhanat. That the perfection of samadhi is samadhi being the perfection of yoga. The perfection of that perfection of yoga is Ishvara Pranidhanat, devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Prahlāda Mahārāja is being described here as having attained that perfection. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the nature of that perfection is Vyavasayatmaka buddhir ekeha kurunandanaha kurunandana bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. That one who is a practitioner of Krishna consciousness, one who is a bhakta, his intelligence is resolute. It's fixed on one thing. Susamahitaha. It's fixed with full attention in complete trance, fixed on one thing. Whereas those who are practicing jnana or karma, their intelligence is many-branched. And the meaning of this is that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a nice explanation. He says that for one who practices bhakti, their constant meditation and everything they do, well, here's a verse that sums it up. Smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavya najatu chit sarva vidhi nisheda asyur etiyor eva kinkaraha. Always remember Krishna, never forget him, and then, well, yeah, always remember Krishna, never forget him. All of the vidhi, the things which are being prescribed, and the nishedhas, or the prohibitions, all of them are meant to accomplish this purpose. They're actually all servants of this principle, always remembering Krishna and never forgetting him. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't specifically quote that verse, but he mentions the same kind of concept, that a devotee feels always the guiding principle of his life is that I want to please Krishna, I want to serve Krishna, Krishna is the Lord of my life, and I want to engage in my loving relationship with him. Whether samsara continues, whether samsara stops, it doesn't matter. Whether I suffer, whether I'm happy, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm engaged in the service of Krishna, I don't care what happens to me. And he contrasts that with a jnani, with a jnani who first his first business is controlling the senses, to control the mind, so that he can engage in nishkama karma yoga. Then by engaging in that nishkama karma yoga, he attains some jnana. Then with that jnana, he has to practice some bhakti so that jnana has fruit. And then he has to then give up jnana so that he can attain moksha. So it's all these different steps, these interim steps to get to moksha, to get to liberation. First being nishkama karma, then jnana, then giving up jnana, doing some kind of bhakti. Then after that, then you do ashtanga yoga. Then from ashtanga yoga, you realize Paramatma. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole system which is given. But all of that can just be accomplished by engaging in bhakti yoga, by being Prabhupada says here in the purport, because he was engaged in service, he felt transcendentally situated, and naturally his mind and attention became saturated in transcendence. So just by being engaged in service to Krishna as a bhakta, then naturally one becomes saturated in transcendence. One becomes transcendently situated. And if you read there's many letters and many times in lectures that Srila Prabhupada talks about samadhi in a very practical way. Samadhi, Srila Prabhupada refers to, and sometimes in kind of the same way that he refers to pure devotional service. That if one is always thinking, how can I serve Krishna? How can I, for instance, if one is dressing the deities, how can I decorate Krishna very nicely? How can I cook for Krishna very nicely? How can I do this and that? And always thinking of being engaged in the service of Krishna and actually with his body and mind doing so, then Srila Prabhupada describes that as real samadhi. That samadhi is being fixed on one thing, and therefore by engaging in the processes, various processes of devotional service, then one naturally achieves this samadhi. Because one is fixed in one thing. He may be doing so many different things, but one is fixed in this understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I'm meant to serve Him. How can I do it? How can I do it better? So racking one's brain like this and always engaging the mind and body in Krishna consciousness is real samadhi. Srila Prabhupada makes this point many times. So Prahlāda Mahārāja is being described as, yes, having fixed his mind and sight completely upon Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva in trance. Srila Prabhupada is describing this as the perfection of yogic siddhi, the perfection of samadhi, which is, yes, to be attained by all of us, by devotional service. So, it is 8:30 now, if there's any questions or comments. Yes, Prabhu.
Pranidhana means is that accepting the Ishvara as the treasure of one's life.
I was thinking that too.
But you're right, I Googled it and it's like, whoa, there's a whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that too. I thought it would have been pranidhana, or like something like that, like accepting the Lord as the treasure of your life. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what. I'm not a... Yeah. Sankarshan?
Two questions. The first one is about Srinivasacharya. How would they distribute the literature of their Goswamis exactly?
Same way we do.
So they just made copies?
Yeah, there's actually a letter that was written, I think, by one of the devotees in that party, and they sent their scores. They said, we distributed this many Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhus, this many Srimad Bhagavatams, this many, and they sent their scores back to, it was like the first Sankirtan newsletter or something like that. They sent them back to the devotees in Vrindavan.
The way I heard it is that there was an urgent need, and it was, I think, Jahnavi who inspired the Rupa and Sanatan and the others to, hey, you know, you wrote all these books, but there's just one copy of this, one copy of that. And in Bengal is where all, you know, in Navadvip, they had all these scribes actually copy it. Because there's no printing presses, you know. And that preceded the distribution. So after they went there and finally got the books back, you know, and they went, you can imagine how overjoyed they were. And they went to Bengal and went to Navadvip and they started having them copied, and then they could, gradually they could be distributed like that.
And then my second question, and towards like the end of the class you talked about how devotees don't really care about much about like going back to God or something like that.
Not that I don't care about going back to Godhead, but that Srila Prabhupada, one time one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, the question was something like, should I not want to go back to Godhead? Is it like not devotional if I want to go back to Godhead? Maybe if somebody's remembers it better than I do, they can comment. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, you should strive to go back to Godhead. You know, that should be your desire. But for one who's completely absorbed in devotional service, they're just absorbed, and it's a certain level of devotional service that, you know, I don't care, life after life, you know, I'll you know, serve you life after life, generally because pure devotees feel like they're very sinful. So they feel like I'm going to have many, many births because of my sinful activity. Therefore, at least let me just remember you life after life. So it's that kind of thing. But it's not that devotees don't desire to go back to Godhead. We do. We should. What you were saying?
I say the question because sometimes you hear Prabhupada said, you know, go back to Godhead this life, but then you also hear life after life, you know. is it based like on your first like experience of like devotional service? You know, like kind of the neophyte stage. It's just like, all right, my desire to continue Krishna consciousness is to go back to Godhead, and eventually it would just develop to kind of just service, devotional service.
Yeah, one should desire to go back home to Godhead, because we're not elevated enough to just, you know, pray like that, like how we were saying.
A very nice little close-up here of Radha-Ramana's face.
Nice.
And you can distinctly see
teeth.
the teeth. If anyone wants to see it after class, I'll just yeah.
I have a question about Madhavendra Puri. Do you know who he was in Krishna pastimes?
That I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Because very
Maybe
interesting.
he was a gopi. He was a gopi, but I'm not sure exactly who he was. Yeah. 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 Okay, anything more? Grantharaja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Srinivasacharya ki jai, Srila Madhavendra Puri ki jai, Radha-Ramana ji ki jai. Yes.